If you hear that sound, stay completely still. Don't speak, don't move. I can't tell you when this horrible mess started because I really don't know. I'm writing this down in hopes that someone can figure a way out of this horrible mess. I do not know how many times I had told this story, and this might even be the first time. There's no way of really knowing. Let me explain. It was a normal day at the office. I was working on some financial reports, so when we first heard it, I received a call that the quarterly meeting was being pushed to 1 when a horn sounded loud in the distance. A sound I cannot compare to anything I have ever heard. It is one of those sounds that strike pure fear into your heart. After the horn, the earth shook violently. Except for the blood-curdling screams, there was silence. I want you to think hard and put yourself into my shoes. I'm not the smartest person, and the only reason I'm still alive is dumb luck and the chicken shit that I am. You are doing your job one moment, thinking about places you are going to eat, family you're going to visit, or the shows you're going to watch after work. In a matter of minutes, the world turns on its head, and any hopes of even getting out of the building have been cut in half. Every scenario seems like a worst-case scenario. Have you ever seen those movies where people disappear, leaving only their clothes? Well, that is not what happened. Everything, including the clothes, were gone. Not everyone at first, but enough people where we noticed. Among the missing was my oldest brother and my parents. It was like they never even existed. We did not understand it at first, and we believed it was a rapture. The chosen were taken, leaving the unfortunate behind. Now, the vanishing alone is not what terrified me the most. It was the screams. Not the screams of fear, but the screams of being physically tortured. They were screams of pain. I'm not afraid of dying, don't get me wrong. But I'm afraid of dying due to drowning or burning, being in complete agony. My life is no longer controlled by decisions. It is controlled now by the most primitive need to survive. How would you feel in my shoes? Once the screaming stopped and the earth stopped shaking, 20 others and I took refuge in the office building in the basement level. I was in the electrical room trying to get the backup generators to come on while the other 19 were huddled in a group debating on what was happening. Most of the group believed that this was a second coming and the righteous were taken to heaven, while the other half thought it was a nuclear attack from Russia or Korea. I dismissed both theories. Attacks would leave behind evidence and charred remains. We would not be standing around debating. Good people were among the screaming. If it was a rapture, it would be us that would be screaming. When the second horn blast, I quickly curled up in the corner, regressing back to a childlike state of fear. Just as before, the ground shook and the echoes of screams filled the dark corridors. I stayed like that until the shaking stopped and I slowly and methodically made my way to where the others were staged previously. Flashlight in hand, I canvassed the area, and what I found was truly horrifying. I guess what I should have said was what I didn't find truly scared me. The 19 were gone. The keys to the stairwell still sat on the trash bin, and the door was still locked as we left it. There was no way they could have gotten out, and there was no way someone or something could have gotten in. The lack of group support made me feel uneasy. The deafening silence was the worst kind of hell. I had to get out of there and figure out what was going on. I went up the stairs and through the lobby and outside. Cars line the street, some still running. I did not see one person. The sounds of nature still filled the air, which struck me as odd. I'm going to look around and I will update you soon. There's not much I can say right now. I found a group of people using the courthouse's fallout shelter to seek refuge. From what we can gather, this thing, I don't even know what to call it, only attacks those that are moving. It has been what feels like a few days since my last update. There have been more and more occurrences lately, and I barely have time to sleep. Not that I sleep well anyway. We are still a group of 43. Food and supplies are running low. We can't get to the local grocery store because some squatters are there, and they will shoot anyone who goes near. Greedy fucks. The world goes to shit and people start thinking of themselves. Now, we elected the town priest to distribute the food equally to stretch our already thin supplies. Some of the 43 are starting to get stir crazy and anxious and started lashing out. We decided to send out 10 armed individuals and take control of the grocery store. During the firefight, the horn sounded and we lost all 10. After things calmed down, we sent out 3 scouts to see if it is safe to enter the grocery store because we agreed that the last harvest had probably taken out most of the squatters. We were wrong. Though all the gunmen were taken out, there were a lot of families held up inside. Most of the food in the store either went bad or was eaten. Talking to some of the families, we found out that they were planning to hit the courthouse because they thought we had food stored away. This was a complete waste of time. Things are truly becoming hopeless. A huge fight broke out at the food storage when the horn blew. 20 of the 33 were taken. This is stupid. Why am I fighting so hard to survive? All is hopeless. No food, no hope, nothing. I decided on the next horn I would allow myself to be taken. Anything is better than this. I awoke to the ground shaking and the horn blowing. My heart was pounding out of my chest. I held my breath, closed my eyes, but still sat frozen in place. It is like your brain will fight you to survive, and the overwhelming fear took control. I was the only one left at that time, not due to the horrible occurrences but self-inflicted gunshot wounds. Not much to live for when you're hungry and everything you have ever loved is gone. I hope they went out peacefully. Just imagining the screams of my loved one makes me uneasy. I had made up my mind, no matter what, I would allow myself to be taken. As the next horn blew, my fear turned into blind rage. Anger for what this thing had taken from me. The screams only lasted a few seconds. I can take that much. As I ran, I was pulled back, not by my shirt, but my skin. I did not scream. I was not going to give it that. After a few seconds, I heard a high-pitched sound. Deafening. All was dark. The air was still, the smell was awful. When the sound stopped, I heard something I did not expect to hear. I heard the screams of hundreds of thousands of people. Could they still be alive after all this? A few minutes later, I was thrown and began to fall, or what felt like falling. I felt like I was falling for hours. The screams never sounding closer but never grew more distant. Then there was nothing. No screaming. Nothing. I woke in my office. Everyone was there. That would be a relief until the phone rang and the voice on the other end of the line stated that the quarterly meeting was being pushed to 1. Then a horn blew in the distance. Wait, why does this feel so familiar? I looked down at my desk and I saw it. My heart dropped as I picked up a blue notebook, opening up and reading the events that just unfolded. How long have I been reliving this nightmare? Are you sure that you are not living the same events in your life? Someone please help me. I don't know what to do. How do I rid myself of this horrible nightmare? If you enjoyed this story, go ahead and leave a thumbs up. If you want a part 2 to the story, go ahead and leave in the comments below that you want a part 2. Until next time, this is Creepyfosta. Good night.